Welcome back to the channel, everyone. We owe you definitely a video because we didn't do one last week because we were so busy. And we had a visitor, last minute visitor, one of my friends from my childhood friend from kindergarten came over and stayed with us in our other van. So we were 3 people in the van with 2 dogs. We might share some snippets of it, but it was interesting. But it worked out. This week we are here we started working on Wonda.
Yep.
So if you missed the video last week where we are walking you through our new layout that we're going to do in this van, basically a layout that will accommodate for 2 working people. So, so if you missed it, check it out. I'm going to put it right here. I think it's here. And if you did see it, or if you don't care about the layout and you just want to know about window, we're going to walk you through today on how to install windows.
Yeah.
And we're installing definitely a different type of window. So we're installing the AM Auto style.
Yeah, which
is the same style that you would install like the back door window if you were to put your own.
Yep, or an OEM style non-opening window. They're all glue in.
We are Zach and Pete, and for the last year we have been living and traveling with our 2 dogs, Sidney and Jasper, aboard our self-converted ProMaster van named Rhodey. Now we're off to a new adventure. Since we bought a brand new 170 Sprinter van, we are now starting a new series of episodes that will take you through the steps of making this new van our home. Every Sunday we will share a video about what we're up to in hope to inspire you to start your own van life adventure.
Walk you through all the steps. We worked out there's about 10 steps to it.
Yep.
So we are also going to share something that we wish we didn't have to share, but we did make 2 mistakes. So 2 of the 6 windows we installed we're going to need to redo for various reasons, but one of them is just that it's just not perfect enough for what we wanted. The window slid down a little bit, so we're going to show you, but we're going to eventually share another video on how to reinstall the window if you realize you made a mistake like we did.
Exactly.
And Jasper wants to play with the ball. So we're going to go through the steps based on the fact that you guys already know where to put the windows and that you already have your windows. Of course, you need to buy them. You need to make sure they're going to fit in your space. And you need to ensure you're going to put them in the right height, in the right location. Now, we're going to skip that because we assume that you've done a little bit of research and a little bit of work on your own. And once you know where your windows are going and that you have your windows, you're gonna need a jigsaw, a drill, and 2 drill bit. 1 small one to start with, and then a bigger one so you can actually put your jigsaw in the hole. You're gonna need sealant or adhesive, and then a caulking gun together. Safety glasses, always, because you're cutting metal. Permanent marker, because you're gonna need to mark your window. Tape, plastic sheet to protect your van, and a hammer and an owl. I can't say it.
An owl?
Owl. An owl. Owl? Okay. So the first step you're going to do is you're going to prep your space. So what that's going to mean is you're going to need to know exactly where you're going to cut your hole. So if you want to know exactly as far as you can cut into your van, you can use an awl and a hammer, and you can quickly just give a couple tap following the line, and that's going to give you a little tiny mark on the outside that you can use to basically connect the dot. And we're going to make a little tap so that because we're going to cut on the other side, we're going to be able to have a clear outline marked.
Okay.
Because it'd be way too hard to cut from the inside.
Let's take a look on the outside.
Well, there's only 2 right now.
Well, we can still see. So you can see these little tiny dings. That's going to be our guideline.
You can start basically tracing the outline of those little dots on the outside of the van. You're going to need to tape that line that you've drawn. And I like to redraw the line on top of it because then it gets a really clear mark of where you're going to cut. Then the next thing you're going to need to make sure you do is you're going to put a lot of tape on the outside of this line. You don't need to tape the inside because that piece of metal is going to go to the garbage and here's a recycling. So what you do is you You tape the outside because you want to make sure that your jigsaw or whatever tool you're going to use to cut the hole is not going to scratch the outside of the van that is going to be visible, that is not going to be covered by the window. So that's pretty important if you want to do a job that looks great once it's finished. But then the other thing you're going to do once you have all this tape is you're going to really make sure that you're going to keep everything clean inside of the van and outside of the van. So with the plastic and the tape, you're going to need to make sure that the inside of where you're going to cut the hole is going to stay fully sealed. And then you're also going to do that on the outside of the van to prevent all the metal shaving that's going to happen when you cut your hole from getting on your paint and creating basically rust spots. Like it's very easy for a little tiny piece of metal to rust instantly in the rain or in the wet, and it will create a little like orange spot on your van, and you don't want that. You don't want that right off the bat. So all the windows that are OEM that are already the size of the panel, they are already going to be the size of the panel inside the van. If you're putting bunk windows, you're going to need to figure out, they don't come with a template, all of them. I think CL Lawrence does.
Sometimes.
But the AM Auto don't. So you need to figure out how, you're going to need to make your own template. So we made our own templates with cardboard, and we were able to basically figure out as high as it could go and did some measurements on the inside, on the outside. Measure literally 5 times to make sure you're putting it in the right place. And then you can tape that template to the van and then use that to trace it, and then you start from there. So that's really only if you're doing a window that is kind of like floating window where you can put it wherever you want.
So the next step, which is probably the scariest step you're going to start on your van, is cutting the hole for the window. So the very first thing you want to do before you cut your hole and after you marked everything is to take a pilot drill and drill a little hole where you can get your jigsaw in. We are using a jigsaw to cut it out, so things to keep in mind is always have lots of blades with you and cut slowly and take your time. Can't stress this enough. It's better to just take your time and cut around the whole line. And then the last thing you want to do is have a second person there to help you, especially with the big panel windows that we're putting on. Have someone holding that piece of metal when they come up to the last part of the cut. So what you're going to do is you're going to start out with the top corner, work your way around, and come up to the top again. So the last piece is at the very top of the window. Second person holds it and catches the metal so it doesn't go flying down and scratch your van.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it.
Yeah, cutting holes.
The third step, once you've cut your hole and you're pretty, at that point, either you're terrified or you're super stoked. Hopefully you're super stoked. You can use a grinder to grind the edges that have slight imperfections. So sometime when you cut, you'll find, oh, this part here I struggle, or it's a little bit uneven, or it's not as flat. You can use a grinder and really like grind it down. Be careful, do it very carefully because you really don't want to cut the hole bigger than you need to. And really make sure that your hole is as straight as possible, but do not cut it bigger than you marked it.
All right, the next step is cleaning. So this is where you thank all the work you did earlier with your prep. What you're gonna do is slowly peel off all the plastic and the tape carefully because you don't wanna wreck all the work you just did by throwing all the shavings on the ground. And you're gonna take a shop vac and you're gonna slowly suck up all the little shavings of metal. It's really important to take your time, go across the whole van because these things are small, they're light, they fly in the wind. So just take the time, clean it. Yeah, just try to do the best you can.
Next step, step number 5, we are gonna dry fit the windows. Why? Because you wanna make sure that everything next is gonna, all the other step that happens after, it's gonna work out because you don't wanna be stuck and having all the sealant ready and it doesn't fit in. So you wanna dry fit it, and also the reason for dry fitting it, it gives you an idea of how to handle the window. So you're gonna be at least 2 people to do this. I think 2 people is kind of all you need. Yeah. And you want to make sure that you guys have a sort of like nail down, like who's doing what, who's going to grab the top, who's going to grab the bottom, and how you're going to put it in. You don't want to figure it out when it's full of glue again. No. So dry fitting, if it fits like a glove, great. If you put it in and you realize that the window stays crooked because maybe there's like a tiny little bump on the edge that prevents the window from sitting straight, that's your chance of grinding it a little bit more. You won't get that chance on the next step. So.
So step number 6 is painting all the edges. Again, this is just preventative, making sure that your van doesn't rust out, especially sprinters. So what you're gonna do is take some white paint on a little foamy brush, and you're just gonna dab it and paint along the whole edge that you cut. This is kind of the rule of thumb. Anytime you put a hole in your van, cut through the paint, reapply paint, keep it from rusting.
Yeah, and we want metal paint here. So
Yes.
make sure that you get something that is anti-rust, because if you're just getting any type of white paint, it might work, but it might not work as well as you want. Step number 7, we are gonna apply the rubber seal if it applies. So that means if you're doing some rear window installation, you're probably gonna need to put that because it's very exposed. It usually comes or doesn't.
Depends where you buy it from.
Sprinter Freak does give you the seal, so that's very convenient. If you're putting some of the side windows like us, it does come with the seal, but we ended up not using it because we are gonna finish that edge anyways. And in the bunk windows, you don't need it because they already come with the edge of the bunk window. So it's really just the rear, or if you're putting, I think if you're putting just one of the OEM that don't open, you'll also need a seal. So apply the seal if you need it, or if it applies to what you're doing, what the type of window you're doing. They are quite challenging to put on. They're very stiff, there's metal in them, so you really have to bend it to push it down. It's quite challenging.
Step number 8 is applying the adhesives. It's important to cut a big fat hole at the end of your sealant tube because it is a arm workout if you're using a manual one, or as MP puts it, you can get an old man tool, which is the electric ones, and you can just not have to have the arm workout. But we're young.
I mean, come on. You're only gonna put so many windows in, and then after that, you're done. Is it hard or something? You can do it with your arm.
You can do it with your arm. Now, when you're putting your sealant bead on, it's really important that it's a good chunk, it's a good fat bead, and as consistent as you can as you make it all the way around. Any of those, like if you have big bulges or thin spots, this is how your window can leak in the future.
So the last step is to install the window, so putting it in the hole. Now we don't have actual recording of us doing it because, as you might figure it out, you needed 2 people. So no filming. But basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna have 2 people pushing on it, making sure it fits in the hole and it is square. Maybe one person can like back up a little bit and make sure that the window looks good. Once everything is good, you're gonna have one person is gonna keep their hands on it, and then the other person will tape it down. So we want tape that runs from the top and make sure that the window is not gonna slide down or move sideways. So you wanna make sure it's so taped, like use as much tape as you want, and you let it at least wait for 3 hours to cure, but it takes out total 24 hours before you actually can go in the rain and drive. So we did say at the beginning of the video that we did make some mistake in 2 of our windows, and we're going to show you right now what we did. So it was on this one, so we still used a lot of tape to hold it up, but we walked away because everything looked good and it was getting dark, and then we came back and you can see it here. It's actually now resting on this. So the window actually, it's slightly crooked here. It slid down. We suspect that because we were doing this in the pouring rain, we are under cover. It was extremely humid that day. So we don't know if we got a really good seal with a good stick with the tape. So the window eventually the tape might have lost its adhesiveness and the window slid down. So if you're doing it, especially on these big windows, because they're so heavy, because there's a sliding window on them, make sure that you dry your window. We didn't really do that. So it's on us. Another thing we want to do next time, once we will fix those, we will probably put a little popsicle stick just under to make sure there's something to prevent the window from falling further. So it's a lot easier to have something rest on it than to hold something up. Stay tuned for a video about when we'll fix these guys, because it's a no-go. No bueno, it's not happening.
Thanks everyone for joining us today, and hope you enjoyed the video.
Hope you learned something. And if you have any questions about the process of installing windows, or if you think there's anything we did that you did differently and you think it would work better, let us know, because we're about to do out a van. So any tips and tricks would be great, and we can share with the community. And next week, what are we going to do next week?
Well, next week we're going to be talking about insulating the van
Yeah.
and also installing the roof vent
Yeah.
up on the top of the van.
Yeah. So it's going to be, again, if you're starting a van, or if you're interested in and you want to know what are the steps involved in building your own van, it's just going to keep going. Slowly but surely, we're going to have a finished van.
And if you have any ideas on video topics with building the van that you guys want some more information on or learn more about, let us know. We're happy to see if we can make it happen.
Yeah, that's a good point. If anything you wish there was more information about how to do it, we're going to get there at some point. So it'd be nice to know if there's any more detail you'd like to know, because we can plan for it and make sure we record it every step of the way.
Well, we're going to record everything as best as we can anyways.
Yeah. So thanks for being here, and thanks for watching our channel. If you're new here, there's going to be lots of new topic coming along, as well as some snippets of our life while still living in Roadie, our ProMaster van that we are still living in. So don't forget to subscribe, because you want to get a notification when we have new videos, because they might differ in dates now, I feel like we're going to try to stick with the Sunday, but it
might get shifted
because we're busy. You know, I'm a full-time student. He's a full-time worker.
We're
trying to build a company on the side and keep up with the YouTube channel. So there's a lot going on, and we're trying our best here.
But our promise is we will show you the whole build process.
We will do it. It might not just be as
consistent
as we want.
See you guys soon.
Bye.
Bye.